On this episode of the John1911 Podcast, it looks like we're doing a Colt SP1, trophy hunter killed in Africa, New Jersey State Police sue SIG USA, and a 600-yard black bear sighting. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Marky and Freeze, and this is episode 62 of the John1911 Podcast. Well, actually, it's not morning; it's afternoon. It's 1:30. How was your day so far, Freeze?
Not too bad.
That's good, dude. I've been getting my ass kicked all up and down the East Coast. It's just been a zoo. So right now, I'm actually doing this podcast in a little bit different area. I'm not in the regular part of the armory. I'm in a common area, so there's a bunch of noise going on down there, so it's just easier to come up here. So I've never had quite the view. I had planned on doing a podcast while I was traveling, but we were so busy and you were working, we just really never could get it to work out. So I had all my gear with me, so I just went ahead and broke it out and came in here. So
yeah, well, so you're not used to doing a podcast not in the dungeon.
You know what? I feel safe around cement and steel blast doors. You know, that's my safe place.
Yeah. So, not to mention, 20 or 30,000 rounds of ammo.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. Yeah. Dude, are we going to go to war with the Russians or not?
No.
Okay, because I heard that they got Ariana Grande at her concert. The Russians tried to blow her up. Oh wait, that's right. It was the Muslims.
Oh yeah, my favorite one is all the chic cab drivers that were like helping all the victims and all that stuff. They were obviously they weren't metering them; they were just helping out. All those chic cab drivers now became Muslim cab drivers. Have you heard that?
Chic. I'm not even following.
They're the Indian guys. That
you mean ski?
What?
Skis. There's a big difference.
Yeah,
okay.
they both wear towels on their head.
There's a big difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. One's
so all these. So are there?
One doesn't want to kill us, and the other one does.
Okay, I said this before, and I'm going to say this again. Maybe we don't. You know what? I've looked at the demo. We don't get a lot of people in India listening to us. We get a surprising amount of people in. We do get some in. We get one in North Korea. I know why, but we literally do. Even shows up on the stats. We get one listener in North Korea, which is kind of creepy. We get some in China, and we get. We get some through the Middle East, and we get a lot in Mexico, too. But India, the world's largest democracy, I support them. And India and the U.S. are natural allies. And India, when India finally achieves superpower status, and, the U.S. and India can, basically look at the world and not, and not be ruled by, craziness. I mean, that would make the world a much better place.
It will, but that's not going to happen tomorrow.
No. Let me crack open this episode. Brought to you by Ice Mountain Sparkling Water.
I'm still drinking coffee.
I just finished some coffee, and I've got a bottle of crack. I haven't eaten anything since last night, so I haven't even. Like I was in D.C. when all the Ariana Grande thing happened, and I haven't really followed it that much. I mean,
look, here's the thing with that. I mean, yeah, I saw the reports and all that. That's fine, but I can't invest too much time into it. First off. You have a little girl singer who I don't particularly care for her music. I don't particularly care for her as a human being because of her political stances. And then all of a sudden,
she's a child.
I don't really care. I mean, I don't. I mean, that's just the way it is. And then you've got England, where you've got the mayors of these cities basically saying, well, this is just the kind of shit you got to deal with when you're in a big city. Well, yeah, it is when you let all of you know what?
You are referring to the mayor of London, and his I can't remember his first name, but his last name is Khan. He's a Pakistani of heritage Muslim. He's the first Muslim mayor of London, and he came out and basically said, this is what you get when you live in a big city. And it's like, dude, you are fucking tone deaf. What a fucking jackass.
Yeah, exactly. So I really, it's a travesty that it happened. But you know what?
You get when you live in a big city in Pakistan. If we were in Quetta, I would expect this bullshit. Yeah, but this is not normal.
No, it's not. And, and the bottom line is they accept it. And, I follow a couple British-based websites, will say. Some of them pretend that they're legitimate news sources, which they're not. But, whatever. It doesn't matter. And it's amazing how I like to watch them because it's interesting to get, their perspective opposed to our slanted liberal media's perspective. Not that they're not liberal, not that they're not slanted. It's just a different perspective that I like to get.
Oh, yeah.
But it's amazing if you read the comments on different posts, how many will be like, oh, yeah, you gun-toting Yanks, see how well that's working out for you. And it's like, yeah, well, we don't, again, I don't have the energy to go into it, but to argue the stance. But it's amazing how little they understand about us, our culture, and our Constitution, because basically they're controlled by Muslims. They've let so many of them in. Basically, hell, half of the UK is living under Sharia law.
That's a little bit of an overstatement, but
it might be an overstatement, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, look, there's a couple dynamics here, and actually, this is even going to play into a post I'm going to make later in the week regarding a gun that people aren't going to see coming, and our gun community is, I'm going to prove a point with the politics within the EU, and I'm going to give an example with a gun. But what's happened is Europe has been falling for this, this idea that bigger, better, more government, more and more government is better, more better, and so the EU, which is basically controlled by a handful of people in Brussels, has opened up the floodgates to allow unvetted people to swarm into Europe, and individual countries are paying the price for it. When Theresa May comes out, she's the prime minister now of the UK. And she gives her, everybody's judged against Winston Churchill. Like today, everybody's kind of judged against Ronald Reagan. Everybody's judged against Winston Churchill over there. And she comes out and she gives a speech in front of 10 Downing, and she's talking about how we will not, live in fear, and we are not afraid, and we will carry on, and whatever. And it's like, that's great, Teresa, but I'm sure the people in Manchester who actually have troops now on the streets in Manchester are pretty motherfucking afraid today. This asshole went in and nuked kids.
Yeah.
I mean, and all these, look, I'm all about judging people individually, but you can't, a bureaucracy in the way these things work, they just throw open the floodgates and let people in mass, and everyone's shocked that they're having these problems. I mean, the European Union as a whole is so fucked. This is Europe's going to be in big trouble for a long time.
Yeah,
a long time. I mean, it's just.
Well, well, what the hell? They have created this mess, and now they have to justify it. Now, it's hard to justify this douche nozzle going in there and blowing up a bunch of kids, but they still have to justify it.
Well, what's really interesting in the UK, see, a lot of people, Americans are really bad for this because we project a lot of our standards and morals and in laws and understandings of the universe onto others. So if you are a secular, you're American who you're under the age of 30 and you grew up in the United States and, you're a pretty secular person, you're a pretty educated person, you're not an overly religious person, you don't believe in the quote sky god and all that stuff. You go around the world and you think everything your idea of modernity is American modern culture. And even, and this obviously is common sense when you look at countries like Pakistan or, Nepal, or you go these places and, things don't work the way you plan on them to work. But here's a good point. In the UK, what we've spent the last 10 minutes and 40 seconds talking about, if we were in the UK, we could actually be charged with a hate crime.
I was actually reading a report about a lady who made a negative comment about the Muslims in the UK, and she's actually being investigated right now.
Yeah, so I mean, just think about how upside down this world is. Okay, the UK. We're not afraid. You got the mayor of London making excuses. The EU's in trouble, and if you even question some of this stuff, you can be brought up on charges. But after we have a bunch of dead kids blown up at a freaking little kiddie concert, let's be real, Ariana Grande, it's little kids.
Sure.
The police are going to go around and, we're military force, we're going to round the people up because, that's great. I mean, it's like, after December 7th, 1941, it's just kind of the cost of, kind of have an island in the Pacific, just kind of out there far away, just kind of the cost of doing business. No, let's go kick some ass. It's the Europeans are just, as a whole, as a group, and I know we have some listeners and, we have some immigrants that come to the U.S. These people as a whole, you people are out of your fucking minds. Just your thought processes. It's just...
Yeah.
Dude, it's just, just imagine what Europe's going to look like in 30 years.
Well, hopefully it won't look like it looked 70 years ago.
It might.
It might.
War's probably coming to the continent one way or another. And again, World War I, World War II, these people do it to themselves. And which, it is what it is, but I just love through the arc of history, liberals in this country and liberals over there always raise their noses at people like the United States.
Yeah.
And they just do this shit to themselves. And, guys like us have to fucking bail them out. And it's frustrating. Europe is in huge trouble. What is Europe? Dude, what are they? Let's say, UK leaves, a couple other countries leave, the EU breaks down. I won't even talk into what's going to happen there because I know what's going to happen. But, like in the UK, we can be arrested for having this conversation on a podcast. In the UK, I guess in theory, you can round people up. They don't really have habeas corpus, I don't believe. Are they going to go around and round people up, put them on trains, and send them back to Turkey?
No.
No, because they just don't have the stomach to do that.
No.
They're not going to undo the damage they've done. They're not going to they're not going to look in the mirror and have a real honest conversation here about the difference of cultures. If it's like, Europe is this beautiful fish tank that, is this ecosystem with all these different, cultures and, languages and histories and, It took, kind of guys like people in the United States to save Europe from itself. So it's this gorgeous place. And these assholes in Brussels have opened up the floodgates and dumped in a bunch of these predator fish, and they're just tearing up the fucking fish tank. And, what the fuck do they expect is going to happen? It's Europe's in huge trouble.
They are. And you know what? I just can't expend any energy listening to their problems. We have enough of our own.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to. We texted about this briefly because we might have a personal connection to this in some way. I wanted to, because again, I've been traveling. I've been dealing with some bunch of shooting stuff and work stuff. And were you able to find out what the hell's going on with New Jersey State Police suing SIG?
I think I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat here. I think it's a conspiracy. I think Glock has paid off the New Jersey government to get the contract back from them because they're hurting.
Okay, so I don't even know. All I heard is lawsuit. I didn't hear. I honestly. Literally right now, I'm like, is that true? It could be true.
Okay, here's the gist of it. And I'm just going to I'm gloss over in this quickly. I'm not going deep into it, but basically, the New Jersey State Police they're using P229s, and during just. They were having malfunction problems. As far as I can tell, no officer on the street has had an issue where he's had to discharge his weapon. But what it is they're having failed to extract malfunctions on some test guns when they're, when they're going through like qualification and stuff like that. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Since they've been having these malfunctions on the qualification courses, they've been going back and forth with SIG. SIG's replaced guns, they've replaced barrels, they've replaced springs, extractors. They've been working with them. And now, mind you, this isn't 1,000 guns. These are samples that they've had issues with. And SIG will be like, okay, we looked at this gun. We don't really, we can't duplicate the problem, but, here's, we put new springs in it. And then they come back and go, oh, the problem still exists. So basically what they've done is they've yanked SIG's contract, gave the contract to Glock, and now they're suing SIG for like $2.5 million, which is what they paid for like the so many thousands of guns that they bought from.
How long has this contract been in place?
Couple years. But this is also what I find interesting.
How many guns are we talking about here? Like, how many guns are going back to SIG?
Well, like they want to send them all back.
I know, but like how many guns, like what percentage, or is it like 5 guns out of a sample of the entire state that they can't get running, or is it?
Well, no, it's like it's dribs and drabs. Like at one point,
it's across the entire fleet then.
Yeah, at one point a SIG representative is just like, you know what, it's extractor springs, so they went ahead and shipped 250 replacement extractor springs. Another time, they had 5 guns, that they said these things aren't ejecting right, so they replaced all 5 of them. It's not like, here's a block of 1,000. It's they replaced barrels on.
That's pretty extreme, though. Replacing barrels? What the fuck's up with that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it like a chamber issue?
I don't know. I haven't, but anyway, they had state police and SIG reps tested like 25 of the legacy handguns, selected at random from their inventory, and and a few of them experienced issues, whatever. So,
they even did a statistical model, and they a random, and they still produce. Wow, that's a huge problem.
Yeah. But here's what I find interesting about this. I follow SIG pretty closely because, I'm a SIG fan, and I can't say that I've never heard people complain about SIG P229s failing to feed, failing to eject. When you follow the gun community, like I'm sure everyone listening, when you follow online, you hear all the bullcrap, So anyway, but you hear it with other brands too, not just specifically SIG. But it's interesting, you're not hearing any SIG 229 problems from like the Air Marshals or the Secret Service or any of the other departments,
Well, here's the thing. If I was a lawyer representing the state of New York, my discovery is going to be asking for that information.
Well, this is New Jersey, but same thing.
No. I'm sorry, New Jersey. If I'm a lawyer for the state of New Jersey and I'm representing my client in this lawsuit, I'm going to immediately file for discovery on service records, internal documents within SIG. Are they seeing other issues, and are they hiding it from us? Okay,
look, the real issue here is not the $2.5 million, because that's really a drop in the bucket, dollar wise. The real issue is SIG losing the contract to Glock. Because
was the 320 ever talked about? Did they offer him the 320? Because obviously the Glock is a striker gun. The 320 is a striker gun.
Not that I know of. They very well could have. I don't know. I can't say.
Okay.
But, like I said, there's a lot of federal agencies that are using SIGs right now. There's a lot of state police that are using SIG P229s, as well as other, SIG models. The thing is, it's interesting that this is popping up with New Jersey. Now, what's going to be interesting is because of New Jersey's lawsuit with SIG, are we going to start hearing more of it pop up? Are other agencies going to be like, well, hey, wait a minute now we've been having this problem we've been dealing with? Or is this a one-off, or is this just a simple, like I said, me polishing up my tinfoil hat? Is this a simple situation of Glock cut a deal with New Jersey?
See, and look, for a lot of our listeners that may not understand this, New Jersey's a dirty-ass state. I'm not speaking in generalities here, and I'm not speaking out of turn here, but the truth is, in New Jersey, politics and corruption and kickbacks and organized crime and just crazy illegal bullshit that goes on in that state is out of control. It's like fucking Saudi Arabia up there sometimes. And there's people right now listening to this that are in New Jersey and be like, "Fuck you, Marky. You know what? Fuck you. Go look at your god. Look at the criminal prosecutions in your state over the last 15 years. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Don't tell me. Dude, seriously, it's doing business in New Jersey is like doing business in fucking Pakistan.
Yeah.
That's a shithole fucking place. And, it's like goddamn Chicago, dirty as fuck.
Oh, yeah.
So there could be more to this, but the reason I had asked you to look into it, because I've been so busy. Because didn't your brother... we can't go into too much, but didn't your brother drop the hammer on a guy one night and the gun didn't go off? Can we talk about that?
Yeah, I believe it was, I could be wrong, but I want to think it was a P226.
Yeah, I'd have to defer to you on that.
But yeah, he dropped the hammer on a bad guy.
For the people in Alabama, that means pulled the trigger. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry. No, I'm sorry. The people in the EU. If you're in the EU listening to this, you don't know what the fuck we're talking about. He's talking about he tried to shoot somebody.
Yeah, and it was click, and it was like, oh shit. So he's doing a tap rack drill like real quick, and when as he was doing that, the bad guy heard the click and immediately just threw his gun down, threw his hands up. I'm done, but. They sent the gun to the armorer, and they test fired how many rounds through it, could not get it to duplicate. They pulled the entire lot batch of ammo he was using, pulled it all off the street, and sent it back to, I believe they were using Remington LE ammo, sent it back to them, and they with the bullet, with the dented primer, they could not...
They weren't even able to determine why the primer didn't go off and the primer was properly manned. It was weird because it's just one, like as I recall, you would know better than me, but I seem to recall this was never officially resolved.
No, it wasn't. And now, whether the powers up the chain didn't want to admit to anything and cut some kind of a deal, I don't know. But no, they couldn't duplicate the misfire. They couldn't find, supposedly, you can't see my air quotes, but they couldn't supposedly find any other rounds out of that same batch lot of ammo that malfunctioned. So who knows? But yeah, that was with the SIG. But I think, honestly, I just think it was a bad primer.
Oh, it happens.
I mean, it does.
I had some interesting primer things happen on Monday, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, well that's good to know. I just figured I was curious if they were having, I was curious if we were revisiting the same issue that befell your brother with the SIGs. That's all, and apparently it's not the case.
No.
It's the cycle of the gun. So I'm traveling. I'm out of town. And somebody goes, did you hear about that mayor that fucked up? And they made it like, today's whatever day. And it turns out they named the day after a guy that killed a cop. And I was like, no, I didn't hear that. I was like, yeah, it came out that it turns out they honored the cop killer and not the cop. And then the mayor got on TV and was crying. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. I didn't hear that either. Where was this? And they're like, Cincinnati. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because here's the thing. That Sonny Kim,
yeah,
I wouldn't say we were friends, but the police officer that was killed in that, we had met. We knew each other we'd met each other before. What the fuck happened in goddamn Cincinnati while I was gone? Jesus. Was that big news locally?
No, it was.
That was national news, dude. Cranley was crying on TV apparently.
Yeah.
Did you talk to any of your buddies at CPD about did that ever come up, or you just didn't want to bring it up?
I haven't talked to any of my CPD buddies personally, so I can't say. And honestly, anything that they would have to say, they would want to tell me off the official record.
Yeah,
for obviously, yeah.
That's what I figured.
But it's like,
somebody's career that flashing in Cranley's left eye is his career dissipation, like going into overdrive. Because he wants to be, like governor, senator, president one day. He thinks he's special. And they already ran off that police chief.
Okay, look, here's the thing. I know several people who have got the proclamation paperwork filled out for to be, quote unquote, their day in the city.
Really?
I mean, I do. Actually, I know two different people that have, it's a real nice little certificate with the seal on it that the mayor signs, and they pick a day. But look, Trey Day is not a good political move.
No.
Not
that is an administration that is completely out of touch with reality, which pretty much describes the left in this country.
Well, and it pretty much describes the city as well. I mean, you know how the Cincinnati City Council is.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I would be willing to bet, they may not admit it publicly, I'd be willing to bet that probably 2/3 of the city council are like, yes, sweet.
Just to score political points on their opponents, yeah. That's just sad.
Yes. Oh, no, it is. It's the way it is. But yeah, basically Cranley's going to take it up the ass on this one.
Yep. And, deservedly so.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
You shouldn't be giving shit out like that.
Yeah.
You should, do some due diligence here.
Yeah.
So.
And look, here's the thing. This is what I find really interesting. The mayor's office, actually delivered a retraction of declaring June 1st Trey Day. And put a thing saying it was mistakenly issued by the staff without, the mayor's approval, blah, 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 blah. Signed Bobby Dillon, Chief of Staff, Office of Mayor Cranley. Dude, he didn't even sign the retraction letter himself.
Really?
Yeah. The memo came from the office of Mayor John Cranley. It's like, dude, I mean, sometimes you have to wonder if he has enough chromosomes in his body.
Jesus.
I mean, this is a major, major, major fuck up.
The premise for this entire conversation is called being the captain of the ship in the U.S. Navy.
Well,
you know what?
John Cranley is the Italian shipmaster who
the Concordia
who left the Concordia with all the passengers on board. Seriously,
dude, I love that.
And look,
the goddamn Coast Guard was like, "Get back on your boat." He's like, "No." They're like on the radio, "Get back on your boat and help your passengers." No.
Well, and those who don't know what we're talking about, Sonny Kim was a Cincinnati police officer who was killed in the line of duty. And what happened is he took a bullet that went through, entered into the side and bypassed his vest. And, it was just kind of one of those.
Well, I don't want to go too deep into this, but I'm privy to the full after action that hasn't been published, and he took more than that bullet. The word in the PD is Sonny Kim was he was, I think, a FTO, and he was the reason I know him isn't really through the police world. I know him through the martial arts world, and he was a big martial arts guy, and well-built guy, gym rat, martial arts guy. He and we've met, and they're pretty certain that the quote Ferguson effect was in play here, because they're saying he hesitated on shooting this boy because he didn't want to shoot a black boy. That it was a suicide by cop, and he ambushed. This kid called 911 and said somebody had a gun, and Kim showed up, and it wasn't even his shift. And the guy who called in the 911 call turned out to be the shooter, and so he ambushed Kim. And they're thinking Kim hesitated, and Kim actually was shot twice. He was shot. Kim took a point blank round on the ground.
Yeah, I wasn't going into all that detail.
Yeah.
I was just,
It's a that never got play. The reason why, our listeners here don't understand, and this never got play because this story should have been a national story, but the big media doesn't go with their narrative. Sonny Kim died because of Ferguson. Sonny Kim died because of, quote, Black Lives Matter. Sonny Kim died because the media is running with the narrative. Because Sonny Kim, who's a hell of a fucking cop, hesitated on shooting this kid that needed to be shot.
Yeah, well.
And that should have been a national fucking story. And every cop in Cincinnati knows that bullshit, and now this happens? This is horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, let's get goddamn torches and go down to City Hall and burn that motherfucker to the ground. This will never play nationally the way it's playing locally, and even the local media won't run it this way, but every cop in this city's burning the fuck up over this. This is crazy.
Oh yeah.
This is fucking crazy what's going on here.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that's why we're a little salty about it. Hey, let's talk about something fun. Let's change the subject here. It's been nothing but shit. Fucking crazy bombings and dead cops and stupid politicians. Jesus. I need some help, dude.
Well, we know that.
I've jumped into a Colt SP1 project, fucking balls deep, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Well, give it to me and we'll build it.
So here's what happened. So I posted it's last week. Freeze works nights. He sleeps during the day, and I'm traveling, and I run across I'm calling it an SP1 Upper. I mean, I don't know what else to call it. It's like an AR-15 with a triangular handguard that doesn't have a forward assist and doesn't have a brass deflector. So to me, that's like, I mean, it's like an 1960s, 1970s AR-15.
Yeah.
And these have kind of gotten popular, and the prices are going up and up. And I've never really given too much thought to them because I'm just not an AR guy. So, but, I was like, well, we can kind of use one, and we're trying to do more video, and that'd be cool. And I know you like that older stuff, and it's kind of, it's interesting. It'd be cool to have a 20-inch AR that's really lightweight just to see what it'd be like. So I knew where there was one of these uppers where I suspected there would be some of this outside of DC. And I get there, and I find it. I find one, and I flip the thing over, and it's got these hog outs on the rear of the upper. And, you were asleep. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. I'm like, what the hell is this? And so I posted on Facebook, and I'm like, any of our AR-15 experts, can you chime in? What the hell am I looking? Why would somebody gouge this out? Immediately, a bunch of guys, smarter than me with ARs, were talking about something called either a lightning trigger or something called a lightning kit. And they said that, so this is some kind of drop-in trigger. I don't know if this is, I don't know if this lightning thing is legal or illegal, if it's pre or post ban regulated, or what the deal is with this. But this gun looks like some Bubba had been trying to make something work with this, in a lower, what wasn't present, but this upper was there. So I talked to the guy who had this thing, and I'm like, I just got some feedback on this. And he wanted a nice chunk of change with this upper. And I was like, well, here's what I'm getting. So I need to ask you a question. Where the fuck did you get this, and what's the story behind it? And I basically got, well, we got it out of there was a bin, or there was a storage unit that was abandoned, probably someone deceased, and they bid some money on it, and they got it for a good price, and they saw some gun stuff in it, and when they got in it and opened it all up, the guy he wouldn't be particular, but he said there was some questionable stuff in there. I'm like, okay. And so I said, what's going on here? Is there a lower for this gun? He goes, were applying for a Class 3 license. I was like, there's all kinds of fucking problems here. So this thing, if you look at all the parts in this, apparently it was all older stuff. This stuff may have even predated the Hughes Amendment. So,
I don't know. I would have to look at it. They're probably right. What it is the guys that were talking about the light. It's not really a lightning trigger.
It's like a modification or something.
It's like a linkage.
Yeah.
And what it, in effect, it turns a semi-automatic AR-15 into a fully automatic firearm. It's not legal.
It's not legal. I guess it works on the principle of the binary trigger, but the ATF has ruled it illegal. Was there a chance that this was legal at one point? Because do you remember when you and I were kids and you could go to the gun show and there were all these, quote, drop-in parts to make guns fully automatic?
Yeah, that was in the 80s, though.
That is everywhere. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I wasn't real technical when I was real young. I was just in the guns. No one really paid that much attention to machine guns. And it was just like, yeah, whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, here's the thing with these lightning linkage kits, or what, I don't even know what the particular name is. I've seen similar systems that they were making for the SKS back in the 80s. But here's the thing: you can't, if you had one of these, you couldn't put it on like any of the ARs that you have.
Because they fill in the receivers, right?
Yeah, and these things are designed on like
like a modern AR. Most ARs made today, the lower, first of all, it doesn't have that extra pinhole, which is considered a machine gun. But also they change pinhole dimensions, and they beef in the rear of these receivers. So the only way you could get fully automatic into them is to hog it out. If I think I understand it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, what you have to do, you have to have a true AR-15 semi-auto bolt carrier group. I mean, it's got to be, the real,
That's another subject I need to bring up with you in a second, but go ahead.
Okay, and then it's like a spring system, and I know there's going to be guys out there that know more about this shit than I do that are going to correct me. But what it does is it hooks around the disconnector.
That seems what people were talking about.
And basically, so it hooks behind the disconnector, and then you have the rear portion of the spring will like hook behind the lug. And what'll happen is when the bolt carrier returns it'll stop when the bolt carrier returns to battery, it'll allow it to basically function.
Fire?
Yeah, basically function as a fully automatic,
So it's like a double shot. I mean, it doesn't do it through like a sear trip.
Exactly.
It does it through like almost like a binary system on the bolt carrier.
What happens is basically it when how's the best way to describe it? What happens is it pulls the disconnector to the rear, releasing the hammer as the bolt carrier.
So yeah, the first shot drops the hammer. The second, when the bolt that it cycles, this spring system.
When the bolt carrier group when it returns to battery, basically it basically it allows the disconnector to return to the rear position, releasing the hammer. So it's basically a cheater system.
Yeah, it bypasses the trigger pull after the first shot or something. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, so here's let me bring this back on home here. See where we're at here. So, okay. I mean, look, I had to make a decision quick on this.
Yeah.
I walked away from it and posted about it because I was like, I'm curious what the hell this is. And I got some information and was like, well, that's interesting. So I went back over to the guy. And I was like, this is what I found out. This is what you're looking at. And he's like, I just haven't posted it I haven't gotten around to posting it on the internet for sale. And I looked at him and I said, I'm going to give you my honest answer here. You post this up or on the internet for sale, you're going to get a lot of blowback on it. And this is what I'm hearing. And they're going to want to know where this came from. And they're going to want to know like the rest of this stuff. So, I mean, I was led to believe that a lot of stuff that was in this storage unit may have been destroyed. You know, all I know was he said there was some questionable things in there. So maybe they gave stuff over to the ATF. Maybe they got parts. Maybe they're in transition. Maybe they gave
or maybe they're in a box in his basement.
Maybe they're in a box in his basement. He doesn't have a Class 3 license yet. I don't know what the deal was here, but I just said, look, here's what I'm going to offer you for this upper. Because I just want the upper. Like, I don't want to fucking do fucking machine guns. And so I ran my fingers through it, and I'm like, well, these rails, there's this peening. It looks like somebody hogged this out. It looks like shit. But the rails are smooth, so the thing will cycle smooth. Nothing's going to... So, you know, I offered him less than half of what he was asking, and I was like, it's my final offer, because I need it for a project, for some research, and I just want the upper. I don't want anything to do with whatever the fuck's going on with the rest of this bullshit. And he was like, okay. So let me bring up the bolt carrier.
Okay.
I had to pick a bolt carrier and a charging handle out of a box. He had a box of fucking bolt carriers and a box of charging handles. Okay. I very quickly was able to determine, because again, I'm not an AR guy. You know, oh shit, there's different types of bolt carriers. You know, I know there's like an M16 style bolt carrier, and I've heard that, but you know, I don't ever pay attention to it. So I was able to figure out that there's an SP1 bolt carrier. There's an M16. There's some kind of enhanced bolt carrier. So I was able to find an SP1 style bolt carrier and bolt, or it had a bolt in it and a firing pin. The gas key at the top, is that what you call it? It's in here, and this is the other clue. It's a little worn. I've never seen a gas key this worn. Like maybe this had been in a machine gun, but this, and here's the thing: the gas key on this, it wasn't staked. It wasn't pinned. It wasn't peened. So like maybe someone had already replaced it once. Like this dude was probably making machine guns, and he's wearing out these parts and replacing the parts. So anyway, I have an SP1 bolt carrier with a gas key on it that's got wear, like pretty significant wear on the thing, but it's a bolt carrier. It's not peened. The thing is, I didn't realize it till later, and I just wasn't sure. I have not been able to find as of yet a C mark on the bolt carrier, so it may not be a true Colt bolt carrier. I was able to check the upper. It's a Colt forged upper. It's a Colt chrome line barrel. So the upper's real, the barrel's real. I don't know if the triangular forearms are real or not. That's before my time. They seem real flimsy to me, but I guess they're real. But we have to go over this bolt carrier, and we're going to have to figure out whether we want to get a, quote, real Colt one. Because I've seen on the internet now, Colt, I guess they have a C on it, but there's SP1 style bolt carriers.
Well, is this an SP1 style, or is it like an enhanced AR-15? I mean,
everything's SP1.
This is an SP1 bolt carrier.
Yes, it is an SP1 style bolt carrier. So it doesn't have, you can see the firing pin. It's not blocked off. It's got the full moon in the back and all that shit, and it's got the little line for the trench in the back. I don't remember all that shit's for. I mean, I can take an AR apart and I can put it together and I can shoot them, but that's for the AR geeks.
Okay.
You know, I don't know. I need you to look at this. So we got to find ourselves in a SP1 lower. I'd like to find an SP1 lower. Also, the guy did give me some pins, because I guess the older guns had bigger pins. So he gave me some little sleeves to put in the pins, so I could stick this thing into a regular modern lower. Are the SP1 pins like back from the 60s and 70s bigger? They must be. So I don't know. You're going to have to get involved in this one big time. So, and I bought this, and you didn't even fucking know any of this was happening. So, and you know, I'm like, God, I hope it didn't fucking mess up. And I got a good price on it, especially when I found out this thing had fucked with.
You know what though? It's not that big of a deal, because honestly, with the price you paid for it, it don't matter. We're in it so right. We're in this thing so right. None of that matters.
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
if we have to buy a new, bolt carrier group, which if it's
there's some on the internet for like $85.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a true SP1 bolt carrier, then we should be fine. Yeah. But with that being said, if there is an issue with it, no big deal.
Yeah, I guess I'm just going to have to figure out, are some of these older guns, like when is it possible there is a bolt? You know what? If you were listening to this and you could give me some feedback, look, if you are a Colt, there's a lot of these Colt guys out there. I mean, your guys are everywhere. Is it possible to have an SP1 bolt carrier made by Colt without a C mark on the side of it? If you could reach out to me and let me know, that'd be fantastic. So I don't have to spend like 3 hours going blind on some gun forum and everybody shits on each other, because I hate gun forums. So, because I don't even want to get in on a goddamn gun forum on this, because you know how these people are. You know, everything I have is shit and everything they have is gold. I hate these fuckers. You know how the average gun forum is.
Oh yeah, God, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. You see, to get back, you said he did give you different pins?
Not pins, but the like bushings to put into like the how you call it? You know, the circular holes on the upper that drop into the lower. They're bigger than, at least the front one is, maybe, than the pins and holes are today. So you can put in a slip of metal bushing into that, so a smaller pin will fit in it snug.
Yeah, the pre-ban SP1s had a bigger hole. I don't remember what the diameter of the hole is. But it's a noticeable difference. But
he cost me some
like
bushings.
With everything, Brownells sells adapter bushings.
That's what it is. These are made by some company in Missouri.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I know you can buy them from Brownells. I don't know who makes them. I'm sure who makes them for Brownells, or if Brownells is just pimping them for another company. But I'd say what is it? Who makes all the AR parts? Is it Bravo Company or some shit like that? They make.
Dude, I mean, like Anderson. I mean, dude, it's like 1911s. There's so much bullshit going on. Like, all these 1911s that are, they're being sold for $4,000. People would shit if they knew that, the OEM deals between different companies, like who's actually making the lowers and the slides and the barrels and the bull, but and then they're putting, it's, who knows? I mean,
yeah, exactly. But anywho,
crack open some caffeine here. Hold on.
Yeah, but the thing is, the like, for example, if you pulled the Marine Corps AR that we got in the armory. If you wanted to take the A4 lower and put it on the SP1 upper, you would need those adapter bushings. But if we find
an SP1
lower, then we don't need the adaptive bushings because everything kind of works. That's just the way it is.
Just for giggles, I did this just to see if it would work. I did, without the bushings, I did take, we have an LMT lower that's on a crossbow.
Yeah.
I took that apart because it was real late. I got in and, checked in the armory and I was like, well, let's just see how this works. So I put that lower on the gun, the lower is the gun. I put the lower on the upper and, there was some play in it, but if I held it together, I was able to charge it, cycle it, put a magazine in it, lock the bolt back, pull the trigger, hammer would drop. And, if I put a bushing into that front pin, it probably would have been fine.
Yeah. I'm sure.
But that lower's got like a M4 buttstock on. I want like an A1.
Yeah, no. But the thing is, I don't see any reason to put this SP1 upper on an M4 lower or anything like that. Let's just get an SP1 lower and just do it right. Because otherwise we'll just grab the A4 and use it.
Yeah. What I would like to do would be really cool is, we're doing more stuff. Like I did post some videos this week. I'd like to do some shoot offs or just some whatever, we're not just goofing off. We have the A4 and shoot because it's a full size 20-inch gun. And then we take this A1 SP1 once it's built, full size 20-inch gun. And they both have fixed stocks, different lengths because the A1's shorter. But, it would be really fun to, shoot them out to, say, at a big piece of steel, like 600 yards.
Yeah.
At 55 grain bullets and, just do stuff. Just,
Yeah. Well, now here's the question, and this is interesting. Do you want to just find like an old SP1 parts kit and use the lower, or do you want to buy, there's a couple companies out there that make new SP1 lower receivers.
I'm so cheap on this upper right now, especially if I can get away with keeping the bull carrier. And I can get the gas key thing to work. I'm going to peen it, but I would probably just see if I couldn't find a lower. Here's the thing. I was traveling a lot. I was in DC and I got a lot of time to look at shit on the internet, and I've noticed something, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Freeze. The SP1, A1, whatever bullshit guns, they're all like, people want stupid money for them.
Yeah.
But if you look at the parts individually, like a lower by itself or an upper by itself, they're not selling for the ratios don't translate.
But
I can get a lower even if I have to step up and spend $800, which is a lot of goddamn money.
Well, but here's what you're getting into. If you buy a complete lower, I'm talking about in A1, it's got the buttstock, the pistol grip, the trigger. I'm talking like, a pre-ban.
Yeah, I'd like to get a true A1 that has no fencing on it.
Yeah, exactly. If like a Colt SP1 pre-ban lower that's complete, bolt it to the upper and you're ready to rock and roll.
That's my dream.
Man, it's going to be $800 minimum. We're
under 1,000 in on this gun, and that gun for sale on the internet is fucking goddamn $1,700 to $2,500.
Yeah. Well, but here's the other thing. If you buy them piecemeal, if you buy the lower and you buy the buttstock and then you buy the internals, the trigger group and the pistol grip and all that, yeah, you're going to beat that price a little. You might. It's still going to cost you $500 or $600.
So are you saying, because look, to the listeners, if you are new to this podcast, let me explain to you how this works. Have you ever seen the movies Kelly's Heroes? I'm the guy that shoots the fucking tank and drives the fucking tank. I don't fix the fucking tank. That's Freeze's job. So if Freeze is going to determine right now if we're going to be buying a lower or he's going to be putting a lower together, because I ain't putting shit together. I just drive him, baby. I don't work on him.
Yeah, but But let me look around, because that's the key right now. And we definitely want an SP1, an AR-15A1 lower.
I want an A1 lower with no fencing on it. Because I want it to be as early. Because, dude, this gun doesn't even have goddamn brass deflector on it. I mean, this gun is early as shit. This upper is crazy early.
No dust guard, no forward assist.
It's no forward assist. It's got a dust guard. They all had dust guarders.
Now, does the bolt have forward assist grooves in it, or is it smooth?
It does have the teeth, but apparently what happened was Colt very early on. I think somebody was it the Air Force?
Yeah, it was the Air Force. The Air Force.
Yeah, somebody wanted forward assist. So Colt. No, look, they're like Glock. It's just cheaper to make them all one way.
Yeah. Well,
these guns with forward assist with marks is correct.
Well, and they're also correct without marks, but you wouldn't.
There were some without marks in the box, but none of them were SP1 bolt carriers.
Okay, well, and again. The AR snobs, and look, and we are not that. we are so far from that. But no, it doesn't matter. It is
most of them you see for sale. Like I think every single one of them I've seen for sale on Gunbroker. The complete guns have the teeth for the chart for the forward assist in the complete guns. I think that's actually normal. I think if you had one without it, I think people don't think it's legit.
No, it is. It's actually totally legit, but it actually is more desirable.
Yeah, but it might be. It's
kind of like no. See, here's what it is. The later SP1s, of course, had the teeth in it because if you have to make two models of gun, one with forward assist, one without, and you have to put notches in the bolt carrier to use the forward assist, you're not going to make two bolt carriers. You're going to make one, and it's going to go in all the guns. I mean, that's just the way it is. But the earlier ones didn't have the notches. But look, that's not important. I mean, it's really not. It doesn't make it not right either, Yeah.
I will say this for the people that are, there's going to be some people listening that's going, I bet that fucking upper is not a Colt upper. I wasn't sure. It has, how do I say this? It's got that C mark in the charging hand or in the carry handle. And it's also got a something mark and something else in the front sight gas. The gas block, front side gas block. So, I mean, the upper seems to be legit. The gas block the front side gas block is legit, and the barrel is legit. It's Colt. I assume the handguards are, but dude, for all I know, those handguards are shit. They seem awfully thin to me. I'm like, damn, this is what they used in Vietnam. That sucks. That's terrible. And I haven't touched. Straight up, I haven't touched an A1 I guess SP1. I call it an AR-15. I call it a triangle AR. Dude, I haven't touched one since I was probably 14 years old. I never paid attention to them then.
Well, is the barrel marked with C?
It is. It's got the C marking. It's got the
MP chrome bore,
and it's chrome lined. It's got the C. It's got the chrome.
That's a Colt barrel.
Yeah, it's a Colt barrel.
Does the handguard, does the handle have a C marked on it?
It does.
Is okay. Has it got a CM or a C?
I think might have a CM. I have to remember something. There is an M somewhere on that gun. I have to. It's in the armory, and I'm in the armory right now. So
okay, that's cool. So it's a Colt barrel. It's a Colt upper. I
mean, there's enough there that it's good enough for us.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
We'll look into it.
The bolt carrier doesn't have a C stamped on it?
Not that I can see unless it's been worn down. But you remember like the Ross rifle that, there were markings on that gun that I was not able to detect until we put that thing under like bright ass light. So
Yeah, that's true.
I haven't given this thing like the major stink eye. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I was in and out of there so quick because first of all, I ran in there to go back to a meeting. I was supposed to be working. And, I basically told the guy, I said, take it or leave it. You put that on the internet, good luck. Here's my money. He was like, cash? I'm like, I will transfer the money to you right now from the office. And he was like, okay.
Well, what I'm interested in knowing is what about this mythical charging handle you were talking about?
It's the charging handle is there were so many charging handles. There were so many bolt carriers. The charging handle it's got the latch on the left side. So I'm a right-handed shooter. I can hold the gun in my right hand. I can charge it with my left by undoing the latch. It's like got that Colt. It's a Colt grayish upper. The charging handle matches the color of the upper. I looked at some pictures.
It's
I'm pretty sure
it's got the gray Parkerizing.
It matches the gun. And I did look at some pictures on the internet for charging handles, and I wasn't able. There was like some picture with like rounded square, and I'm looking at these 4 pictures and these 4 images of these different types of charging handles for Colt SP1s. I literally couldn't tell the difference between them. I'm like, what's different here? But I was in a hurry, but this thing, I put it together, and even the guy, he was like, that looks like it matches. So I was like, okay, good.
Okay.
And the thing is, he had picked out a different charge, or a different bolt carrier, but I wanted an SP1 carrier. And I just, I could have screwed up on that because it's not Colt, but, whatever.
You know what? I'm not too worried about that because the truth is, we'll check it. Maybe it's Colt, maybe it's not. But honestly, they're not that expensive if we want to buy a Colt. And the truth is, we are so right in the upper. It's not going to make that big of a difference.
Yeah, I just I don't want to have a bunch of goddamn AR-15 parts in the armory. I just had a principle. Speaking of which, because it's been so crazy. And again, these listeners are the first time they're hearing this. It's been a zoo around here. I called the FFL and I'm like, hey, I haven't a chance to call you. I've been traveling. There's an Israeli Mauser heading your way. He's like, yeah, I got here today. I'm like, oops.
Oops.
He was like, I knew it was for you. So come in. It's ready. It's on the books ready when you want to get it. I'm like, okay, great. So, just so you know, that'll be coming in and you're going to have to check that thing out for me too.
Yeah. No problem.
It's, what we have is we're doing some stuff with some Mausers, and it's a 308 Mauser. It's, got the big IDF crest on it. The gun's been gone over. It's probably been redone. It looks great for most of these IDF guns are beat to hell. And, we picked this up and so it came in and, we're doing more videos and whatever. So I just forgot to tell you, Frieza, that actually, I don't even know if I told you I bought that. I don't remember.
I don't remember if you said anything about buying it or not, but it's no big deal.
Yeah.
We've been looking for an Israeli Mauser in 308 for a long time. Not necessarily. We've been looking for a Mauser in 308, not necessarily in Israeli, but in Israeli because out of all the 308 conversions, they're the best. Because, we have the 308 infield, and we kind of like 308. It's kind of our thing,
It's a standard caliber for us. I can run match ammo. I can run PPU ammo. We can run that NATO 147 grain stuff. I mean, I've got ASIM. Dude, I was shooting match 308 175 grain ammo out to 1,000 yards on Monday. I mean, I can run anything I want through these guns. Yeah. It's not hard to feed these bitches.
Yeah.
So
you know, so yeah, we've been talking about it for a long time.
So yeah, that popped up.
Good. Good.
Did you? I've got more stuff coming because I posted the video. We talked about this a little bit. I posted the video of I was shooting the Mauser, the tactical Mauser, and goddamn bear walked in front of my target.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing the East Coast shooting facility is now up and running. So over the course of a year, we'll occasionally be having some more long distance stuff going on. And the reason why that's going to come in handy is because it's easier for me to get to the East Coast facility. Because last week I was with a bunch of guys from the SWAT team, and we were shooting. I'm not going to say the Rangers are not going to pay us, so we were shooting at this 1,000-yard, 1 mile range, and I went up there, and it was I'd had meetings some other place, looking at some other stuff. I had to drive into town, load up at the armory, drive up to this place. Go to bed, get up the next day, and hit this range, and I'm on the line, and my first trigger pull was click. My freaking firing pin was broken. The 240 Mauser 243, and it was like, son of a bitch. And it's just, it's one of those things where that was kind of a special trip to kind of get everybody coordinated, and everyone else got to shoot. I didn't get a single round off. And whereas like the East Coast facility, I can hit that pretty regularly. So if I'd had a gun go down at the East Coast facility, I just would have, had put on another gun.
Yeah, what were you shooting at 1,000 yards? Was that your 308?
On Monday at the East Coast facility, yeah, I was shooting 308. So, well, it's literally a brand new range. It just knocked down a bunch of trees. I mean, like literally knocked down 1,200 yards of trees. And then have a road in on the left. And so we set up targets at 5, 6, 7, and then 1,000. So, I wanted to do some dope check. I had dope for the gun out to 1,000, and I had some holes. Like I had some, I still don't have a good 900, confirmed 900 dope on this gun. But, we can do that now. But, the thing is, it was like 86 degrees. We're about 2,000 feet above sea level. So, I mean, all of my dope that I had on file, compared to, because most of my dope is closer to sea level and it was cold weather. I had to turn everything down exactly 4 or 5/10 of a mil to get on. And, which not unexpected, but it's good to be able to confirm it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, like the density altitude with the temperature, it was like 3,400 feet or something. But, dude, I haven't posted pictures yet. I fucked this up. It's the best group of my life, but I fucked it up. It's a 5-shot group shooting at 1,000 yards, 18-inch steel target. I got 4 shots that you can easily cover with your hand. But, my gun holds 5 rounds. And we're doing a wind call, and so first round's in the dirt. So we, just for the wind, I'm doing a hold. I actually dialed in the wind on this one. Dialed in the wind. Second shot hits right on the bullseye that we painted on the steel target, and the spotter, he's like, "Holy shit!" So I'm like, put a second one in, put a third one in, and they're literally. You could probably covered it with. I don't know. I think a silver dollar may be a bit much, but you could, it was pretty small. And I looked at my spotter and I said, so around here, is it 3-shot groups or 5-shot groups? And he goes, well, I guess it depends on who's asking. And I looked at him and I said, in my world, 5-shot or 3-shot groups are liars groups. So it's got to be 5. And I put a 4th round and I told him, I said, dude, I'm going to be short a round, so I'm going to have to break position. He was like, worry about it when we get to it. Put the 4th round in, landed right, dude. It was right on it. And what it was is and I was in a bad position. I'm literally laying on the side of this. I'm not horizontal. My feet are almost a little bit higher. My bipod's in the mud. I'm kind of falling sideways, trying to keep this gun level. and it's, losing it. And I had the break position to get a 5th round to put in the gun, and I rushed it because mentally I'm thinking, 5 shots got to be together. If I had just held off for a minute and rebuilt my position, I could have possibly had 5 shots touching. Anyway, the fish.
I'd have slid the bolt open and told him to drop one in.
Yeah, maybe dude. That's why you're fucking smarter than me. That's actually a good goddamn idea. Thank you for making me feel like shit. So anyway,
drop one in for me.
The 5th round hit at about 6:30, right on the edge of the plate. It's an 18-inch plate, so 8-inch from center. So I mean, this group is still well under an MOA at 1,000 yards. I mean, I'll post pictures of it. I don't know if I'll get it up tonight or tomorrow, but man, I'm telling you what, I was like, holy fuck. I was impressed as hell. So, with myself. And awesome. I'll probably never shoot a group that good again. Yeah. Even though I fucked it up. So, yeah. And I tried, I would love to have done that with the PPU and 243, but with the R8 at the other range, but goddamn gun broke. Well, when you shoot a lot and you shoot a lot and you dry fire a lot, you break guns.
Yeah. I mean, it happens.
Yeah. I sent you a message and I was like, I didn't get to shoot a fucking round. My goddamn firing pin broke. And you were like, well, that happens when you shoot a lot. You really stepped up and didn't shit on me for it. So.
Well, the thing that I would question is the guy down in Texas, that the big Blaser guy.
Guy in Texas. Big Blaser guy. You mean Kevin Wisner from Blaser USA that you met?
Yeah.
Yeah. He guy works for Blaser. He's their U.S. rep. Yeah.
What I would do is I would give him a jingle and find out how hard those firing pins are or how brittle they are. Because when you have a brittle firing pin, and when I say brittle, I'm not talking about brittle like a glass rod brittle, but dry firing can put an undue stress on brittle firing pins, and they have been known to break. I would see if that's an issue or not an issue. And if it is, see if you can't get like I don't know, like a titanium or a stainless steel or whatever, see if you can't get a different firing pin, other than like a Blaser factory. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, guess what? Grounds people. Fucking you hear that? You hear that?
Yeah, I do.
Goddamn lawnmower. Lawnmower in the middle of the fucking podcast. That's what I get today. It's just been that kind of goddamn week. The thing is, like, titanium firing pin actually in many ways are probably more prone to breaking. Here's the thing with the Blasers, because most people aren't going to understand what we're talking about. The bolt on the Blaser floats, and the firing pin obviously shoots through the breech face. So if the bolt is not in position, the firing pin can graze the firing pin channel, which can cause undue stress. So if you dry fire, if you pull the trigger on these guns without the barrel installed, it could cause stress. Here's the thing. The R8, I can't totally guarantee that before I took possession of that gun from the FFL that somebody didn't pull the trigger on that thing before, I had it. So I have to give it, I have to give it some, who knows? So the thing is.
Yeah, you're not going to break a titanium firing pin, though.
Well, it depends. Well, see, we're getting into like fatigues and different. It depends on the type of force. I mean, if
you can't cut a titanium firing pin with a hacksaw.
Titanium would be more likely to crack. Because you can't, like, most people don't understand this, like with guns. Like, here's a perfect example. Like a barrel and a chamber. Okay, you don't want a super hard barrel or chamber on a gun because the forces, that there are different types of forces And if there's not a little bit of give in that, it's more, if it can crack it. So you don't, people obsess on like, oh, it's got to be super, super hard. If you put super, super, super hard, depending on what you're doing with the part, you could have issues. You can crack stuff. Like, you don't want a super hard barrel on a gun because it'd crack. Like, that's why you don't see a lot of titanium, like where the action is, where the chamber is, because actually, depending if you're, they can crack them. I mean, you could do different alloys and do different things, but I mean, it's not all, what works for a knife doesn't necessarily work the same way for like a gun. You know what I mean? It's a little bit more complicated. So I don't know about that. That's way above my pay grade. There's a guy I can ask about it, but I just don't know.
Well, you ask him about it.
I will.
See what he says.
He actually wanted to. He wanted to take that firing pin. He wanted to put it under. I'll probably do it now. He wanted to take it into his shop and magnify it and see what type of break it was. If it was a fatigue crack or if it was some other type of failure. Because he can tell. Yeah, well,
and that's actually interesting because was that a manufacturer's defect?
He's telling me he should be able to tell if it's a defect in the metal and it radiated out under stress, or whether it was colliding with something and broke from it.
You know what? That actually is interesting. He's
a PhD metallurgist, so
yeah. I mean, I would turn over the firing pin to him and let him take a gander at it, because that's interesting. I would like to know what caused the the break.
Yeah. Well, we'll look into it and figure it out. So, all right. We've been going for about hour 20 here. Anything else you want to? Did you hear about the trophy hunter that was killed by the elephant?
I did.
Did you hear what actually happened to him? Jesus,
I did.
Dude, I swear this grounds guy is like literally just going back and forth right in front of this fucking window. I can't fucking believe this.
I did, and it's amazing. Well, I mean, I don't have to tell you. Anytime you get into big game African hunting, all the anti-trophy hunters and all the crazy wingnuts come out and talk about how good. We're glad he's dead because trophy hunting's the spooge of Satan and all that crap. But look,
spooge of Satan, dude. That's gonna make the outline. Spooge of Satan. Let me write SBOOGE of Satan, dude. I'm in such a weird mood today. I know that.
But I mean, what really happened and what people think happened are two different things, and I don't know. I just got tired of it real quick because all the anti-safari hunters were coming out of the freaking woodwork, and good, I'm glad he's dead, blah, 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 and it's like, whatever.
Check this out. Here's the story. So, a South African big game hunter, he's got like one of those Afrikaans names.
Mm-hmm.
Theunis, tennis.
Yeah.
Tennis Botha, Botha, was leading a group in a hunt at Good Luck Farm, irony, near Hwange National Park in Zimbabwe, when they stumbled upon a herd of breeding elephants. So think about that for a minute. The 3 elephants charged directly at the hunters, but a 4th elephant caught them by surprise as she charged them from the side. So they were like ambushed, like an L-shaped ambush by elephants.
And they, all the anti-hunters are like, fuck them killing these elephants. They weren't even hunting elephants.
Well, check this out. So this female elephant that came in that, flanked them, the elephant picked up Buta with her trunk.
Yeah.
And one of the hunters shot her. causing her to collapse, and she collapsed on top of Buta.
Yeah, fell on top of him.
Damn, see, I hadn't heard that till just now.
Yeah,
Jesus.
well, but the story gets even better.
Oh, it does? Tell me. I missed everything.
So, dude basically gets crushed by the elephant because when one of the other guys shot the elephant fell on him and crushed him. You know, and that tends to happen when an elephant lays on you. But his business partner, I don't know if it was 2 weeks or 2 months prior, was leading a group of people out there, and he got ate by a crocodile.
Oh, dude, I think we talked about that.
We did. It was the guy that got ate by the crocodile. This was his partner.
Good Luck Farms, baby. Note to self, when I go hunting in Africa, I will not be hunting at Good Luck Farm.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone's hunting at Good Luck Farms anymore.
Jeez, I mean, look, you know, look, we obviously don't have a problem with this kind of hunting, but you know what? To me, it's like bullfighting. You know, part of the whole point of this kind of hunting is, I mean, you got to go out and earn that shit. And you know what? The truth is, sometimes the bull gets you. Yep. So I'm not going to cry that this guy got killed. I'm not happy he got killed, but it's kind of how it works. It's dangerous. It's called dangerous game hunting for a reason.
Yeah.
Everything in Africa is trying to fucking eat you.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it sucks.
Wow.
But, you know, look, and this just goes to show you, you know, I don't know what they were out there hunting. It wasn't elephant. And it turns out they got ambushed by elephants, and you know, and this guy got killed by an elephant, you know, because, you know, it's just the way it is. Yeah, I mean, they could have been backpacking, you know, out in the Mojave Desert and got bit by a rattlesnake and died. Well, you know what? You got killed backpacking. You know, it happens.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to say say who these people are, who this person is, but don't you remember, there's a guy that we know, and he lives in the U.S. now. He's a very educated guy, and he is he from Kenya? I'm not going to don't say his name. Is he from Kenya, or is Kenya? He's not from Zimbabwe, is he? He's from, I think he's from Kenya.
I think it's from Kenya. And I could be wrong.
And I remember like the subject of like a leopard or a lion incident had come up with him, and he was like, I mean, those things, I know people that have been killed by those, like they come around their house. I mean, to him, it was like being hit by a tornado. He was not like, oh my God, I can't believe they killed Simba. He was it's a fucking problem.
He was telling us about his uncle that goes out there hunting, you know, like big cats with spears and shit. It was interesting.
Yeah, very interesting guy. I mean, like he's, we're not going to get into it, but he's a very interesting guy, and he's very interesting guy. I like him a lot. But you know, it was it was really interesting, his perspectives on these dangerous animals in Africa, and how, you know, it's stuff they have to deal with, and they're not always happy about it. I mean, it's not all like the big majestic animal out not bothering anybody. You know,
well, you know,
things they cause problems.
It's real interesting when you have someone here in the United States whose biggest fear is a coyote eating their family dog. How they project their values on people living in Africa.
Kind of sounds like the Prime Minister of England talking about how we are not afraid and we won't live in fear, but she's not the one getting blown up at an Ariana Grande concert now, is she?
Yeah, that's true.
Kind of funny how that works out. This podcast has come full circle. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Okay, this wraps up episode 62 of the John1911 Podcast. If you like this podcast, please check out our blog page at John1911.com. If you want to leave us a review on iTunes, that would be fantastic. If you want to 1-star it, that's great. If you want to 5-star it, that's even more great. And special promotional consideration to our sound engineer, Mitch at A&M Promotions. And just remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
See you later.